யாதும் ஊரே யாவரும் கேடீர்.
செம்மொழி வலையொலி யூடியூப் சேனல். இந்த சேனலின் மூலமாக, அந்த வலையொலியின் மூலமாக பல்வேறு தகவல்களை தினந்தோறும் நாங்கள் வழங்கி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த நிலையில் சிலப்பதிகாரம் என்ற தலைப்பில் ஒவ்வொரு பகுதியாக வழங்கக்கூடிய அந்த தொகுப்பை முழுமையாக கண்டு பார்க்கலாம்.
One of the most famous poems of Purananuru declares how this dear life of ours on earth is like a raft in a stormy stream drifting away as the fates ordain. And the Purananuru poem says, every town is our hometown, every man a kinsman. Good and evil do not come from others. Pain and relief of pain come of themselves. There is nothing new in death. Thinking that life is sweet, we do not rejoice in it. Even less do we say that life is miserable if something unwanted happens. By the vision of the wise who know, we have understood that the human life, much praised, makes its way like a raft riding the waters of a huge and powerful river, ceaselessly roaring as it breaks against rocks, because the clouds crowded with bolts of lightning pour down their cold drops. So we do not marvel at the great, and even less do we scorn the weak. யாதும் ஊரே யாவரும் கேளிர், தீதும் நன்றும் பிறர்தர வாரா, நோதலும் தனிதலும் அவற்றோர் அன்ன, சாதலும் புதுவது அன்றே, வாழ்தல் இனிதன மகிழ்ந்தன்றும் இளமே, முனிவின் இன்னாதென்றும் இளமே, மின்னொடு வானம் தன் துழி தலையீ ஆனாது, கல்பொருது இறங்கும் மல்லல் பேர் யாற்று, நீர்வழிப்படும் புனைபோல் ஆருயிர் முறைவழிப்படும் என்பது திறவோர் காட்சியில் தெளிந்தனம் ஆகலின், மாட்சியின் பெரியோரை வியத்தலும் இளமே, சிறியோரை இகழ்தல் அதனினும் இளமே. That is what that Purananuru poem says. A poem by a king called Koparinjodan admonishes those who, entertaining a skeptical view of human life, do not come forward to do good deeds. He says, செய்குவன் கொல்லோ நல்வினை எனவே, ஐயம் அறார் கசடீண்டு காட்சி நீங்கா நெஞ்சத்து துணிவில்லோரே, யானை வேட்டுவன் யானையும் பெருமே, குறும்பூழ் வேட்டுவன் வருங்கையும் வருமே, அதனால் உயர்ந்த வேட்டத்து உயர்ந்திசினோர்க்கு செய்வினை மருங்கின் எய்தல் உண்டெனில், தொய்யா உலகத்து நுகர்ச்சியும் கூடும், தொய்யா உலகத்து நுகர்ச்சி இல்லெனில் மாறிப் பிறப்பின் இன்மையும் கூடும், மாறிப் பிறவாராயினும் இமயத்து கோடு உயர்ந்தன்ன தம்மிசை நட்டு தீதில் யாக்கையொடு மாய்தல் தவத்தலையே. Koparinjodan says in this poem, only those who have a poor vision of life would be hesitating all the time to do good deeds, since they will be doubtful about the outcome. The elephant hunter may easily get an elephant. The bird hunter may return empty-handed. So, those who aim high and are determined to achieve what they want, doing good deeds, may attain bliss in heaven. If that is not there, if heavenly bliss is not there, they may not have to experience the pain of next life. Even if that is not there, they will die having led a blameless life and established their Himalayan fame. And that is the best thing that a human being can achieve. During the poet's days, that is Koparinjodan's days, Jainism, Buddhism, Shaivism and Vaishnavism might have preached their ideas regarding the reward for leading a useful life of good deeds. Their conjectures about the life after death, the heaven, the hell and rebirth would have certainly puzzled some, and under that pretext they might have resorted to living a life devoid of values. Hence the poet's advice to them is to do good and to earn fame here without being bothered about what might happen after birth, after death, what might happen after death. This kind of concern for life here and now, the value of selflessness and the desire for fame are stressed in another poem also. Undalamma ivulagam Indirar Amridam Yevadainum Inidana Tamiyar Undalum Ilare Munivilar Tunjalum Ilar Pirar Anjuvadu Anji Puhadanin Uyirum Kodukkuvar Pariyanin Ulahudan Perinum Kollalar Ayarvilar Anna Machi Anayaragi Tamakkana Muyala Non Thal Pirarkana Muyalum Muyalunar Unmayane. This world survives, the poet says, this world survives because there are some noble beings who won't eat without sharing with others, even if they get the sweet food of the gods, who won't hate anyone, who being scared of the wrongs of which others are scared, would not hesitate to act to remove them. If fame can be attained, they will sacrifice their lives. They would reject even the offer of the whole world if it is to bring blame. They will work hard, but all their efforts will be for the benefit of others only. Reverend G.U. Pope, impressed with the emphasis on such values by the ancient Tamil poets, observes that he is certain that God must have reserved a special reward for the Tamil community for its exclusive preoccupation with a life of righteousness. The presentation of Brutus in Julius Caesar reminds us of the Purananuru poem, which characterizes noble ones as those that are determined to lay down their lives to attain fame, but to eschew blame even if it brings the whole world to them. Brutus has the general good in mind when he accepts to kill Caesar, but would not stoop to the level of the other conspirators who have only selfish ends in their minds when they decide to remove Caesar from power. When Cassius speaks of the threat to Rome by the rise of Julius Caesar, Brutus responds in a very cautious manner. He says, if it be aught toward the general good, set honor in one eye and death in the other, and I will look on both indifferently. For let the gods so speed me, as I love the name of honor more than I fear death. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. And for this, he earns the much deserving praise at the end. This was the noblest Roman of them all. Nakiranar has a poem on the nature and meaning of human life. This is the poem. Tengகடல் வளாகம் பொதுமையின்றி வெண்குடை நிழற்றிய ஒருமையோர்க்கும் நடுநாள் யாமத்தும் பகலும் துஞ்சான் கடுமா பார்க்கும் கல்லா ஒருவர்க்கும் உண்பது நாழி உடுப்பவை இரண்டே பிறவும் எல்லாம் ஓரொக்குமே செல்வத்து பயனே ஈதல் துய்ப்பேம் எனினே தப்புன பலவே. For the monarch who may rule the whole world and the illiterate hunter who sleeplessly looks for animals to kill, the quantity of food they can eat is the same. They need only 2 pieces of cloth to cover the lower and upper portions of the body. Apart from the food and the dress, all the other things are the same to both. The only use of wealth is to be given to others. If anyone thinks of consuming all the wealth without sharing it with others, he will lose a lot. The poet is able to drive home the point that life on earth being what it is, there is no point in accumulating wealth by fair or foul means, since one's needs as well as all that one can enjoy are limited. There is a profound observation on the life that mankind is destined to lead on earth in a poem by Oreru Ulavan, who uses a marvelous image to describe the human condition. This Oreru Ulavan says, "அதழ் எறிந்தன்ன நெடுவெண் களரின் ஒருவன் ஆட்டும் புல்வாய் போல ஓடி உய்தலும் கூடுமன் ஒக்கல் வாழ்க்கை தட்குமா காலே," which means, like a hunted deer on the wide white salt land, which resembles a flayed hide turned inside out, one may run and escape, but living among relations binds the feet. The poet says that the life with one's relatives, kith and kin, will fetter one's legs, whereas to redeem oneself, one has to run away from them, just as a hunted deer, in order to escape, has to cross a long white stretch of wet-soiled, slippery land, looking like the peeled skin placed inside out. For every individual, it is going to be an ordeal either way, running away from their kith and kin or living with them. A.K. Ramanujan, who chose this poem as an epigraph poem for his own collection of poems in English entitled Relations, articulates his recollections of life with his mother, father, aunts and uncles, from whose clutches he has escaped, but not without risking everything. In a poem of 7 lines, a poet called Pakkudukai Nankaniyar dares to call the Creator an uncultured one for having placed man in a world of untold miseries. This poet says, "ஓரில் நெய்தல் கரங்க ஓரில் ஈர்ந்தன் முழவின் பாணி ததும்ப புணர்ந்தோர் பூவணி அணிய பிரிந்தோர் பைதல் உண்கண் பணிவார்வு உரைப்ப படைத்தோன் மன்ற அப்பண்பிலாளன்." He calls God an uncultured one. படைத்தோன் மன்ற அப்பண்பிலாளன் இன்னாதம்ம இவ்வுலகம் இனிய காண்க இதன் இயல்பு உணர்ந்தோரே. He means, in one house the death drum sounds, whereas in another house the pleasing wedding music of a concert drum makes a loud deep sound. Women who are with their lovers wear ornaments of flowers, whereas the eyes of women who are separated from their men are full of tears. Surely the God who has created the world in this discriminating manner is not a virtuous one. This is a cruel world, the poet says. Let those who know its nature therefore do the good deeds that will fetch them heavenly bliss. The last line may also mean, let those who know the nature of the world, the nature of life here, treat this misery as a pleasure. Even the first casual reading of this poem will draw our attention to the following binary oppositions, that is, Naidal, Mulavu. Naidal, death drum, Mulavu, wedding drum. Death on one side, wedding on the other. Women separated from their lovers on one side, women united with their lovers on the other, shedding tears on one side, wearing flowers on the other, miseries on one side, delights on the other. What is painful in this world on one side, what is pleasing in this world on the other. This world on one side, the other world which may be heaven on the other. Man on one side, God on the other. The one who created the miserable world on one side, the one who created the joyful world on the other. Having acquired a first-hand knowledge of life and meditated upon all aspects of it, the poet, this great poet, ventures to express his view of the world. He condemns the creator of this world as one who lacks virtue, because death ceremonies and wedding celebration, women shedding tears and women sporting jewels are common sights to be found together almost every day in this world. But then we are not sure if the poet says that since this world is miserable, man has to do good to go to the other world, as the old commentator on Purananuru suggests. There is no direct reference to the other world in the poem. Again, we are not sure if the poet says that since our life here is a mixed bag, sufferings and joys, we have to take into consideration only the pleasant side and ignore the painful one. We are intrigued when the poet calls the creator of the world one without virtue. It is a harsh term, but not as abusive as terms like villain or mischief monger, which he could have used if he had so desired. There is a distinct possibility that he may not mean it, since it may merely be a case of sacred profanity, very common in later Bhakti poetry. Even Thiruvalluvar, though having a separate chapter at the beginning of his work devoted to the praise of God, says in a chapter called Iravacham, dread of begging, இறந்தும் உயிர் வாழ்தல் வேண்டின் பரந்து கெடுக உலகு இயற்றியான். He says, if he that created the world desires that men should go begging in order to survive, let him wander the world over and perish.